Hey, it's Jeffrey.
And Elizabeth.
What number Devo are we up to now?
24.
That's a lot of devotion, isn't it?
Yep.
Would you like to read the story of the 10 lepers?
Now, on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus travelled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance and called out in a loud voice, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." When he saw them, he said, "Go, show yourselves to the priests." And as they went, they were cleansed. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back, praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. And he was a Samaritan. Jesus asked, "Were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? Has no one returned to give praise to God except this foreigner?" Then he said to him, "Rise and go. Your faith has made you well."
Now, my eldest son is called Jay, and he loves three things. He loves his football, he loves books, and he loves God. Do you know why?
Because he is his father's son.
And Jesus is his father's son, and you can see the Father in this story of Jesus healing 10 lepers. And the first thing we see is that he learned to love the unlovable. Why is that?
He is his father's son.
He is his father's son. Would you like to read that?
But to you who are listening, I say, love your enemies, do good to those who hate you, bless those who curse you, pray for those who mistreat you.
Jesus loved his enemies. He loved those people who were unlovable because,
He was his father's son.
and of course, Jesus, as his father's son, learned how to forgive the unforgivable. Leprosy was seen as a metaphor for sin. Can you imagine being a sermon illustration? I know I've been a sermon illustration. I don't know if it was a good one or a bad one, but read that, Elizabeth.
Then the Lord said, "Put your hand inside your cloak." So Moses put his hand into his cloak, and when he took it out, the skin was leprous. It had become as white as snow.
Someone with leprosy was considered to be cursed by God, but we know that Jesus was able to forgive those whom the world thought were unforgivable. Point number 3 is he learned to accept those who were rejected. Lepers were not allowed inside walled cities. They lived in colonies outside small villages and they were dependent on charity. They were rejected.
Slaughter it, take some of its blood, and put it on the lobes of the right ears of Aaron and his sons, on the thumbs of their right hands, and on the big toes of their right feet. Then splash blood against the sides of the altar. It's a lot of blood.
There is, and of course, what was happening is that Jesus said, go to the temple, offer the sacrifice that Moses said, and a little blood on your ears meant that, of course, that your ears had been healed of sin and you could hear God. And you put a little bit of blood on your uh, thumb, you could work for God. You can't hold a hammer if you don't have thumbs. And then, of course, a little bit of blood on your big toe because you need your toes for walking. You can follow God. God has provided a sacrifice in the person of Jesus Christ so that no one needs to fear being rejected by God. He learned to give hope to the hopeless. There's the story of Moses bringing people through the Red Sea. And you know what? Those people were in slavery. There was no hope for them. But God is a God who gives hope. And Jesus is the Son of God. And he gives hope. Look at this.
Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Thy kingdom come. The future is going to be very, very different to your past. Mother Teresa said, every saint has a past, but every sinner has a future. So in conclusion, we can see that one of those lepers came back. And Jesus makes the point here that to have faith in God is to live a life of profound gratitude. He connects those dots. To live a life of faith is to live a life of profound gratitude.